How's it going, everybody? I'm Janet Hinageshi. So you probably know by now about the Japanese Yuyu Hakusho music CDs, where all the original voice actors from the show sang in character, but the songs weren't really all that popular outside of Japan. I've decided to make a long-form video about every lyrical song from the albums, and this week's song is Koori no NAIFU wo Daite, sung by Kurama. Some spoilers ahead, mostly for Season 3 and a little for Season 2. But before I go any further, I want to point out that I have trouble remembering how to pronounce Japanese E's. I know it's but I keep pronouncing them as or when I read them in words for these scripts for some reason, and I keep getting tripped up trying to pronounce them correctly to where I end up ruining the whole recording, so it's easier for me if I just stop worrying about getting the sound right and just keep the mispronunciations in the videos, else I'd never get them done. So just keep that in mind whenever you hear me saying a Japanese word that has a syllable ending in E. The original version is on 6 albums: Music Battle Edition 2, the Memorial CD Box, the Legend of Yu Yu Hakusho Saikyo Best Selection Album, the complete selection of anime theme songs and character songs Ketteiban, the 25th Anniversary Single Record Box, and the 30th Anniversary Single Record Box. There's an instrumental version of the song for karaoke on the Passionate Singing Edition 2 Duet and Karaoke Special album that includes some dialogue after the track where Koima introduces the next song on the album, which is Hiei's song Kuchiboi ga Kekoeru, which Hiei refuses to sing for the karaoke contest, and Koima decides to sing for him instead. No characters actually sing for the karaoke versions of the songs on the second disc, which features the karaoke versions of the songs. It's just part of the narrative. You're just supposed to imagine them singing, I guess. The karaoke songs on this disc also feature characters giving advice on how to sing the song. In the dialogue after Yusuke's song Tough, the previous track, Kurama chimes in to talk about the next track, which is his song Koori no NAIFU wo Daite, and how to sing it. He says, "There are times when you have to close your heart in order to make your dreams come true, right? Put all your feelings into it and try singing it quietly and gently." As for the other versions, there is a symphonic version of the song as part of a medley on the first Symphonic Collection CD, and then there's the dance mix on the Super Dance Mix CD and on Collective Rare Tracks. As for those who worked on the song, Megumi Ogata sings as Kurama in his regular form, just like in the anime. The lyricist, Yuriko Mori, also wrote lyrics for these 9 songs on the screen, including Makuru's song that I'd previously covered, Rebirth Saisei. Speaking of which, in that video, I forgot to include 2 more songs Yuriko Mori worked on, which are one of Kurama's other songs, Kurayame ni Akaibara, Romantic Soldier, and Hiei's song, Shisenjo no Aria, also known as Manazashi no Aria. The composer for the original version was Kenji Yamamoto, and he arranged these 9 songs. He composed and arranged these listed songs. You may notice that he worked on some songs with Yuriko Mori as the lyricist again, one of which is Rebirth Saisei. Kenji Yamamoto also worked on Hiei's Daisan no Me, which I covered in the Music Battle CD video. So here is the title in its original kanji. It has some katakana that spells out knife. Sometimes for the translation, you'll see knife spelled out in English, or it will be in the Romaji form as NAIFU. Both are correct, it's just a matter of preference. Now as for what it means, I've seen embracing the ice knife, embracing the knife of ice, embracing the icy knife, all kind of meaning the same thing. And then I've seen one source translate the title from the lyric in the song to holding shards of ice like knives. So I think you get the idea from those examples. So the original version is 97 beats per minute in the key of G major. It's very dramatic. It starts off with a striking keyboard melody for the intro, and then it calms down when the lyrics start. It soon picks up with a little drum beat, and then after the first verse, some guitars come in. So now it sounds more serious. By the time it gets to the pre-chorus, the lyrics start to draw out until it resolves into the chorus. So it's kind of like slowly going up a roller coaster until you finally go over the hill at the chorus. The beat picks up, and now the song has some action going on. And then you get to a point where Kurama goes, "Whoa, ho, ho," and then it slows down like you tell a horse whoa. The song mostly repeats itself from there. So the song jumps a lot between fast and slow. It'll speed up and then pump the brakes. The tempo is pretty dynamic, or at least it feels that way. Maybe the tempo doesn't actually change. I'm not the best at music theory, I don't know. But the tone is very thoughtful, very reflective, very serious. I think it's very fitting for Kurama. The keyboard sounds does make me think of icicles, which is fitting for the lyrical theme, which I'll get into later. Now the dance mix is a little slower and a little odd sounding, especially the intro. I guess it's like a pipe organ you hear in the beginning with sudden quick notes. And then they take the part of the original song where Kurama sings, "Don't stop," but it cuts off at "do" and repeats that. My dad heard the song once, and he said it makes him think of a bunch of Homer Simpsons lined up going, "do, do, do." But it does get a cool beat and the vocals feel softer. It's almost like a Latin or tango feel to it, but not quite. There's a lot of DJ loops and stutter effects sprinkled throughout. You'll hear the do stutter in between verses. It feels like Kurama took the original version into the club and now he kind of has to dance fight his way through the crowd. And then right when you start to get into it, there's a rap that starts with ding-a-ling-a-ding-dong. I swear I'm not making this up. And you hear Kurama taking heavy breaths over the rap. It's really weird. And then the ding-a-ling-a-ding-dong comes back later and gets looped over some cool guitar sounds, but it still sounds goofy and out of place. I haven't listened to the song in probably 20 years, and I completely forgot about the ding-a-ling-a-ding-dong parts, so I was really caught off guard when I went and listened to this song again for this video. Maybe ding-a-ling-a-ding-dong sounds like a really cool phrase in Japan? Who knows? But this is probably the strangest remix of all the songs. So OVA stands for Original Video Animation. As I explained in Dachi, it's a term used in anime that refers to media that was released directly to home video on VHS or DVD, for example. Think of those old Disney sequels like Return of Jafar. But OVAs can also be things other than movies like short stories or songs. Yu Yu Hakusho has quite a few OVAs out there, and some of the songs from the CDs were featured in OVAs. There are two visual types set to the OVA songs. They're either set to clips from the anime, or they're set to brand new video animations made specifically to be viewed with the song. I refer to those second types as OMVAs, which stands for Original Music Video Animation. It's not a real term, just one I made up to differentiate between a song set to clips from the show. So Koori no NAIFU wo Daite does have its own OMVA, however, it's not all that notable. While other OMVAs show some sort of new narrative or story you never saw on the show, this one is mostly just cool shots of Kurama being pensive. The most notable part is where his Yoko form hugs him from behind, and then vines wrap around them, as well as when he falls into water. If you watched old AMVs back in the day, and you saw some animations with Kurama and you didn't know where it was from, but you don't remember it from the anime, it was probably from that video. The song is shortened, and it's featured in Eizo Hakusho 2, Kurama's Chapters, Segment 1. So the lyrics start with Kurama talking about how his heart is freezing from the bottom up. He's destined to keep living, so he has to keep fighting. He hears someone calling out to him, but he plugs his ears and ignores the voice and just keeps running as he holds shards of ice like knives. So he's saying that he's doing what he needs to do to survive, even if he doesn't want to. He lets his heart freeze over and uses it as a weapon, which in a metaphorical sense can refer to cruelty. And this really fits with Kurama's character as we've seen in the show. He doesn't like being cruel, but that doesn't mean he won't resort to the most brutal and cutthroat methods to win if he feels that there's no other option. Now, choosing one scene that best reflected this in the anime, some of you might choose when Kurama planted the sinning tree onto a certain creepy villain to torment him until the end of time. But if I had to choose one scene that best demonstrated this sentiment, I would choose the scene right before that one, when Kurama went against Amanuma, the Game Master, during the Sensui Saga, where his cruelest moment was done without raising a fist. For those who don't remember, Amanuma was a little preteen human boy whose purpose was to block the good guys' path and distract them so that the villains could buy more time. The Game Master did this by using his power to bring video games to life, making Yusuke's team play against him for hours. Now, the boy honestly thought his assignment really was nothing more than literal fun and games. He represented the villain character he brought to life in his game, known as the Goblin King. So after Yusuke's team wins 3 out of 7 times and has to go against Amanuma as the Goblin King for their potential win, a member of Yusuke's team then loses against Amanuma, then Kurama steps in to face him in a game similar to Tetris. During the match, Kurama points out that when the Goblin King loses in the game, he perishes. So if Amanuma loses in this game as the Goblin King himself that he brought to life, he will also perish for real. Now, Kurama figured this out before it got to this point, but he decided to tell Amanuma until this particular match because he knew it would freak him out enough to lose his concentration so that Yusuke's team would win, even though it would take the life of an innocent 11-year-old child who didn't fully understand what he got himself into. It was not an easy choice for Kurama to make, but he absolutely had to do it, because even if he tried to discuss it with his team, there would be even more hesitation and delay that they couldn't afford. The only way to have kept Amanuma alive after bringing the game to life would have been to have the heroes keep losing over and over again, which only would have delayed the inevitable. So Kurama absolutely had to freeze his heart in order to do this, because there really was no other way forward. Amanuma called out to him, pleading for his life, but Kurama ignored him, much like how in the song, Kurama plugged his ears to ignore the voice calling out to him, and used the cruelty of his frozen heart as a weapon to win. Now for the rest of the song, Kurama sings about how he hopes that one day the world will be full of warmth and peace to where he won't have to fight or freeze his heart. But until that day, he has to believe in himself and cut his way forward as he fights for his dreams and his friends, because life is a gamble. He describes this day that he dreams of as full of sunshine that will cause his heart to melt and create a rainbow bridge to peace. Until I actually sat down and analyzed the translation of the lyrics, the song made me think of two fights. The first one was when Kurama fought against Toya because of the title's translation about embracing an icy knife, and Toya had ice powers, along with an ice blade. I took it as Kurama bracing himself against the ice powers. The song's lyrics also reflects Toya's goal of wanting to live in the light. The other fight it made me think of was when he fought Ura Urashima. This is because of the lyrics sung in English, "Keep on going, we are fighting, don't stop." Ura talks to Kurama telepathically and tells him to keep fighting to avoid suspicion, and then he tells Kurama that he'll throw the match and give him the win. We find out that it's a trick, and Ura soon makes the mistake of using a device to revert Kurama into his Yoko form from the time when he was his cruelest. In the English dub, during the telepathic conversation, Ura tells Kurama a sob story about his grandma. But did you know in the original Japanese version, Ura gives a completely different story about being grudges of folktale villains brought to life? In fact, Ura Urashima, Shishiwakamaru, and Makintaro are all evil parodies of heroes from actual popular Japanese folk stories. The English dub just never explained this and tried to bury this at every chance they could. I was thinking of making videos about each of these stories the characters are based off of after I finish all the song analysis. Would you guys be interested in that? So what did you think of my analysis? Do you agree? Did I get something wrong? Did I leave something out? Do you have a different interpretation? A different translation? Let me know in the comments. If you haven't heard the song yet, go listen to it and then come back and tell me what you think. Also let me know which song you want me to do next. You've got over 50 to choose from, and you can always refer back to my 16 shorts for a refresher. And be sure to follow my weekly Sunday video releases to learn more about lesser-known Yu Yu Hakusho content and trivia such as songs from the Japanese CDs. Don't forget to share the love!